So let's discuss in this class about Venus aspect and transit, different planets and pivot points. So we are speaking about Venus. Let's understand what Venus represents. Venus, she's the ruler, the depositor of Taurus and Libra. We already discussed it in Module 1 that Venus, she is a bullish indicator planet because she represents the value. Right? Venus, she's the ruler of the second house and of the seventh house. This is Taurus and this is Libra. When Venus as a feminine energy and also the depositor of a masculine sign, Libra, creating here multiple effects. Venus can bring us bullish environment and also bearish. Depends with which and how and where is located. When Venus is weak, we are getting usually a bearish influence. When Venus is strong, we are going to get a more bullish, confident value and increasement of value. Let's take example. If Venus with Pluto is the ruler of Scorpio, is representing to be the enemy of Venus. Because if Venus is controlling the second house, Pluto is controlling the 8th house, is Scorpio, the opposite of Taurus. So whether Venus is trining or sextiling Pluto, or even Venus is doing opposition with Pluto, or even Venus conjuncting Pluto, we may consider it to be bearish, because Pluto with this aspect is taking the power of Venus. It's creating situation of death, of bankruptcy, and loss of value. Loss of value, as we can consider death. When Venus does any sort of aspect with Saturn, we also may consider it to be depressing. Why? Because Saturn is sort of drying the value, is suppressing Venus from thrive and having great value. With Saturn, we are speaking about regulation and is like a stopper, is asking us to build value. And this is why we spoke when Saturn is interacting with even the pivot point, it's creating a sort of a stagnant move or a very horizontal or whatever move that we consider to be frustrating. So Saturn is slowing down the increasement of Venus. It's not destructive as we are seeing it with Pluto, but with Saturn is creating frustrating move that is avoiding increasement, avoiding bullishness. Let's take another example. When Venus does aspect, any kind of aspect usually, with Neptune. Who is Neptune? Is ruler of losses. But we know that Venus can thrive in Pisces because it's exalted in Pisces. Because this is unconditional love. With Neptune, we can speak about putting money on fantasy, speculative asset, money that we can lose. It could benefit if we are trading things like illegal or psychedelic things with Neptune. But when it comes to finances and reality, it just can favorize temporarily assets that have no tangible assets, that are in the air, that are in the fantasy. So I usually would suspect a lot Venus transiting Neptune by most of the kinds of aspects, by conjunction, by trine, by sextile, by square. Of course, with a square with Neptune, it will be very, very bearish. Neptune, Venus squaring Neptune can be very bearish. But I want you to remember that those are two feminine energies. Venus indeed thriving in Neptune, but specifically when it's squared, that is anyhow challenging aspect, is very bearish. But usually I would suspect any aspect with Neptune. What is happening when Venus, she is aspect Uranus? Uranus is the ruler of Aquarius. And we know that Aquarius anciently was ruled by Saturn. So even that Uranus considered to be masculine, it's giving better options here to thrive than with Saturn. But this is creating something that is very hard to predict. Venus interacting aspects with Uranus can create significant, unexpected, unprecedented changes in value. And it's very much related with crypto. Because we are speaking about high technology, value of technologies. Of course, that when Venus will square a most challenging aspect with Uranus, we may expect here to something that is more of bearish, because this is the essence of squares, creating insecurities, creating challenge, creating fear, uncertainty. And with Uranus, that is the ruler of Aquarius, those are things that are coming from the exterior. Events that are challenging the value. Suddenly shortages, suddenly declaration or events, falling of servers, or something that is affecting from the external situation the value. When Venus aspect Jupiter, this is a moment of expansion and very bullish signatures. Why? Because Jupiter is the ruler of both Sagittarius and of Pisces. So of course with Jupiter we're creating optimism, and sometimes it could be a fantasy optimism, like the Pisces thing. We are seeing things that is a FOMO, to go up. We are expecting things to be positive. This is the optimism of Sagittarius. Of course that when Venus is doing a square with Jupiter, because the square is a challenge point, we will need to expect, of course, where is Jupiter located, in which sign this square is happening, but is creating a challenge of the optimism, and even that it still can indicate a bullish trend, but we should be very open-eyed with what is happening, if this optimism can sustain, and what else is happening in the chart to balance our decision of realizing the atmosphere in the market, in the collective consciousness, or in the chart of the thing. So let's summarize how Venus aspecting planet. Venus with Neptune, with Pluto, with any aspect generally, with Neptune, Pluto, Saturn, and even Uranus. Uranus I will put as a neutral because it's unexpected and very related to crypto and new tech, considered to be uncertain and mostly bearish. Venus with Jupiter, aspecting Jupiter, except square, considered to be bullish. This is from the eye of Venus, that representing the value and representing the ability to grow wealth. Of course, we will need to combine it with more situations that are happening in sky, but I'm bringing here the importance of Venus by looking at it through another separate eye to collect information from what is happening in the chart. Jupiter is giving Venus hope. Venus will be better because Jupiter is the ruler of both Sag and Pisces. Sag and Pisces. Venus is connecting with the positivism of Pisces that still is masculine. Okay, but with Saturn that is feminine, with Neptune that is feminine, and with Pluto that is feminine, this is more of a bearish aspects to consider as a separated observation, distinction in the chart. Let's check what's happening with Venus when she is transiting the pivot point. We already spoke about it in previous class. When Venus is traveling on the MC and when Venus is traveling on the AC. When Venus is traveling on MC, conjuncting MC, Venus also is squaring the AC on the same time. So this is creating a short-term bullishness because Venus is moving fast. We know that is around 40 to 50 days in one sign. And when Venus is in the MC is a moment of a small peak, because the challenge with the AC, that is a moment of a fall, is coming forward. When Venus will arrive to the AC and will conjunct the AC, it will square the MC. When Venus is here, is squaring the MC. When Venus is here, is squaring the AC. Okay? So when Venus is squaring the MC, this is already bearish. But this is probably toward the end of the bearish until here is the bottom. Until Venus to oppose the MC. And again, Venus to square the AC. Because when Venus is here, she is opposing the MC and she is squaring the AC. But from here is going to go higher, and we need to expect and to look visually in the chart where this aspect is actually going, not just by reading those aspects alone. Okay, so I think that to this level it's enough. Continue to observe this even in your life, when Venus was on the AC, when Venus was on the IC, and when Venus was on the way up to the MC, and see what sort of phenomenon were happening. In the next class, we are going to discuss about Mercury. Stay tuned.